Day 3 here on the TSI project. Today is February 1st, and I'm out of breath just walking up the hill. Forget about cutting any trees down. Carson got a little bit of a start on me here. Now we're working up through the edge of the cedars, trying to drop some of the cedars away from the oaks that are on that edge. We're not going to go, like I said yesterday, we're not going to go deep into the cedars right now, maybe later, but going along the edge, we definitely make, you know, the best bang for our time, because we're opening up these oak trees that are there, which is going to lead to not only those being healthier and thriving better, but also for some regeneration. So there's got to be acorns and small oak trees on the ground, you know, starting to come up. I did notice there are still a bunch of acorns out here that are viable. They aren't rotten. You know, they're not eaten by that weevil or whatever it is that gets in them. They're all, not all, but a lot of really sound seeds. So we should see some decent oak regeneration here after this acorn crop that we had last year. We just got to open it up, let the sunlight in, get that stuff growing. But today's episode is going to focus on the trade-off between cutting trees down, cutting them off, versus hinge cutting. And we are cutting them down. We aren't hinging any trees. And a little bit deeper into the episode here, once we get a few more of these trees on the ground, I'll come back and I'll talk about why we're not doing any hinge cutting, and then maybe some situations where that makes sense. So let's hear from our sponsors. We'll get some trees cut, then we'll have a little discussion. Dream Farm is brought to you by Whitetail Institute Food Plot Blends, Hunt Stand Pro Whitetail App, Hoyt Archery, Wildlife Farming, and PH Outdoors. Bugs are out.
It's so warm. First set of sheds in Iowa.
We've got a couple hours of cutting in, and we've made a good dent in it. We've come a long ways today, and then looking at the stuff that we have left to do on this ridge is pretty open. So I think we're going to cover more than 3 acres today. I wanted to take a break though and talk about whether to hinge cut or to drop the tree. And I'm not for what I'm doing, I'm not a fan of hinge cutting. I want the trees gone. You know, I want something else growing there. You know, if I liked the tree that was there, I wouldn't cut it down in the first place. So for me, hinge cutting is more something that you would do to create instant habitat, and maybe not a long-term solution. Because like right behind me is some kind of an elm tree, and I'm going to show you a hinge on that and show you what that looks like, and then I'll cut it down. But so let's think about where the hinge cutting makes sense. I think if you're trying to make really quick habitat, like an instant bedding area or something like that, or you're trying to screen maybe road frontage, or something where you want it to be really quick turnaround, then you can hinge it. So what you really do is cutting the tree off about 3-4 feet up, and then it lays over on its side, but you don't cut it all the way off. So the sap is still flowing and the tree stays alive, So now all the leaves and the branches are down at closer to ground level. So that creates that visual screen, creates that instant cover. But again, it's doing the same thing that it was doing when it was standing. It's robbing the ground of moisture and nutrients that other trees could use, and it's still shading out the ground floor, so you're not going to get regrowth of anything else. You're not going to get something else to come in there, because now this tree is laying on its side and still blocking the sunlight. So that's the reason I don't like it. I feel like, again, like it does a quick job, instant cover, but long term I would rather have that tree dead and then the next generation of underbrush coming up through it. And the deer will eat it if you knock some trees down. I know, I guess I don't have a lot of experience with it, but I know they do prefer, the leaves and the buds and the twigs on some trees. So if you lay it over like that and leave it alive, the deer will browse on it. But again, to me, that's just a short-term solution. So let's hinge one really quick, and then I'll show you what that looks like. And again, I'm no expert on it, but I got a pretty good idea how to do it. Just turn the chainsaw on and make it tip over. So there's really not that much to it, but let's hit this one. So there's a hinge cut. So if I'd leave this in the spring, all those branches would leaf out just like they normally would. I don't know if I left enough, like guys that are experts at this, they might know exactly how far to cut. But I went past center just enough for the tree to tip on its own, but maybe there's a better way to do it than that. So again, if somebody in the comment section knows more about hinging, you might add to my story by making some comments there. Now I'm going to show you what I do. I'll just take it off 6 inches from the ground and then kill the stump, and away I go. And then hopefully then right here you get what we got, oak tree there, oak tree here, walnut behind. I mean, something else is going to come up here. The seeds are probably already here. I'm not going to have the shading or the the moisture and nutrients being taken up by this tree in the future. So my hope of getting something else to come in here that's more preferred than this tree, that's my reason for not hinging. We relocated to a different spot. We finished up the whole slope on that other valley, that whole one side, and we got up to the point up on top, looked at the bedding area and kind of sized it up. Now we came down, went around, and we're going to come up the other valley to the north and then work that slope back up to the spot where we were cutting before. And like I've said before, it's really hard to do this without starting from the bottom and working up, because you have to drop the trees and then you just keep dropping into the hole that you made as you go up. It's we've got about an hour and a half left probably. Carson found an antler. Hold it up. He's pretty proud of that. He's threatening to go off shed hunting now, and I reminded him that we still have some work to do. So once he finishes, maybe I can get him to turbocharge and do the whole 52 acres in about 4 or 5 days. That way he can go shed hunting. Yep. Well, I'm wrapping up day 3 right here. I think we got, if I had to guess, I'd say we got more than yesterday, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, probably. It seemed like it today.
Some of the timber was pretty open, so we didn't have to do a lot of cutting, so we could cover ground a little faster. I think the rest of this whole section is kind of like that. You know, you'd like it to be stuff that we can cut so we can make it thicker, but what's in there is mostly oak, walnut, and you know, just we're not going to cut those big oak trees down, and we're sure not going to cut those walnuts down. So some of this isn't going to be perfect habitat because, again, we're just not able to cut enough. But we're making progress. I think tomorrow I got at least one more tip, and I'm sure they'll start popping up. I want to start talking about some of the terrain because we can almost be scouting while we're doing this, and we can talk about some of the hunting tips too. So check back again soon for the next episode of Dream Farm, and remember to always dream
Big.